Hello, you beautiful and wondrous beings. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Queen Prophecies, the season of the waters, the season of the sacral. And I am joined by a very, very beautiful guest who knows all about the sacral waters, the womb chakra mysteries, and even beyond that. So you have to just keep listening to see what wants to be shared today in real time with Marguerite. We're going to let her introduce herself properly after just setting up the space with prayer. This episode is dedicated to Maria, Mariam, Mariamne. She has so many names. Marusha. These are some of the names that we know her as. Mary, Mother Mary. And we're going to invite her into our hearts. We're going to invoke her highest emanation, her frequencies of light, her starships, her beautiful heart in all of its forms, a radiant heart that she is so known for, a heart of compassion, a heart that is also full of protective mechanisms, thorns, the rose, multidimensional. A starship in and of itself, Mother Mary's heart takes us places. So I invite you to just lean into this conversation, lean into this transmission, receive what is for you at this time. I invoke her dragon aspect. I invoke her water and her fire. And I invoke the land where I am recording, beautiful Southern California, Los Angeles, to support us. California's been having its own shakes and quakes lately. Breathing really, really deeply here. Just receive that the land is speaking to us deeper, connecting to us deeper so that we know how to move with her, how to move with the mother. Not just Mother Mary, not just the feminine energy or the feminine spark, but the mother of all creation. And so I invite beautiful Marguerite to share her grid, where she's located, invoke the lands and her guides there.
Thank you so much, Ariana. I loved that beautiful invocation and the energies that you were invoking and setting and the intelligences that you are connecting with around Mother Mary and the star connections, which is so important. So on my end, I'm here in the Massachusetts Bay, not the Bay, but I'm in Massachusetts, and I'm in the land of the sacred Mohicans. And yeah, so the Mohicans were here. They've been displaced. They're coming back. There are also Mohawk influences here in this area. So we just honor these sacred people. Um, and it's interesting because a Mary temple, so to speak, a shrine, has been established over an ancient sacred Mohican site. And so, what I like to see us doing is just having unify there the beautiful Mary energies and the beautiful star intelligences of the original peoples and the dissolving of anything that does not serve that from that location as well. And the mountains of this region are very healing. They're very quartz based, and the native peoples would comment on that, that it is a place that holds you because of the quartz in the underground chambers.
Thank you so, so much. It is really an honor to have you on this beautiful day that is already a Mary portal. I like to call like the first couple of weeks of December really hold strong Mary energy for those that are practicing in religions that celebrate obviously our beautiful Mother Mary on December 8th, and also our Mexican ancestry that my family carries. We have our beautiful Virgen de Guadalupe is also celebrated in December. So Mary is alive in frequency when we're recording this. She is just really finding the ways to weave her energy through the grid and through us, these light beings in human form currently. And I would like you to give a short introduction to who you are, to what your scholarly, incredible investigations and also personal deep dives with Mother Mary, like how that has taken you on this path to write an incredible book, which I was able to read and
Oh,
really hold close to my heart. How
mm.
much resonated, how much was like ping, 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 pinging me in all of the acupuncture points that Mother Mary wanted me to feel.
Oh, blessed be. It's so nice to get that kind of feedback to know that it has affected you positively in that way, because that was my intention in putting out this book, which you are referring to, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. I don't know if if you can see that one there. And there's a previous book, yeah, that we can talk about too. But this one is really the culmination of all the work I've done so far. So my name is Marguerite Rigoglioso, and I am the founder and director of Seven Sisters Mystery School. And that I founded in 2012, right around the time of the, uh, there was like a big passage, a big solar system passage that we were going through then. And I've named it in honor of the seven sisters of the Pleiades, who are very much involved in human planetary history, human planetary genetics, and the whole Mary Sophia Christos mission as well. And the veils are coming off of that history more and more and more for myself personally and for a lot of people. So I'm right now in this, like you're saying, weave, and Mary was a weaver, this weaving culmination time where the tapestry is really taking form, on how all of these things that I've been studying over the years are related. They're all coming together, and this is really important for humanity. So I've been through Seven Sisters Mystery School, I've been teaching courses for the past going on 13 years now, on a whole range of topics about the sacred feminine, about plant medicine, about esoterics, the sacred awakening, so many things. And I've been doing one-on-one guidance and readings for people. I've been doing cacao ceremonies and other kinds of medicine ceremonies. And yeah, and Mama Cacao, right? Our beautiful plant ally who really is about the heart. And so she is the perfect Mother Mary and Mary's more broadly medicine for us at this time, the opening of the heart. So that's just a little short story about me. My educational background is from the California Institute of Integral Studies, and I have a master's and PhD from there in women's spirituality, essentially. Um, and I've taught in academia, and then eventually, as I said, created my own school because I, there was no place for somebody as bringing as many threads together in traditional academia, which is fine, right? I kind of needed my own place to do that. And then so Mother Mary came in well before I even went into academia, well before I went to the California Institute of Integral Studies. I started really awakening to the goddess, the sacred feminine, and I got involved as a participant in these programs on the women's spirituality movement, originally in the Boston area when I first lived in Massachusetts. And so I started reading all of the books about by the founding mothers of the women's spirituality movement, Vicky Noble and Joan Marler, Maria Gimbutas, the great archaeologist who unearthed the goddess in Europe. Yeah, Eleanor Gaydon, Lucia Cavallo Birnbaum, some of these people have passed on to the realm of the ancestors. And I started to have participatory experiences, not just intellectual experiences with these goddesses. I started going to sacred sites that were led by, like Carol Christ and other people, especially in Europe and in the places of my ancestors, Italy and Sicily. And then as years went on, and I started understanding that my intellectual research work was just an entree into my spiritual work. Then I really started weaving those two things together. I started going into expanded states of consciousness. I started working with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene on more personal levels for my own healing, as well as for my spiritual education. And so it all started, kind of coming together over the years. And I started offering presentations and then classes, then experiential classes, and until we are today with, The Secret Life of Mother Mary. So that's a little short story about my background.
Beautiful. You touched upon the fact that Mother Mary has been part of your story way before academia. And that was something that I feel came through strongly through reading the chapters about your childhood in the book. The personal stories in the book about basically the strong Sicilian ties that your family had, and a very transitional time in your life where you physically lost your own mother.
Yeah.
That I feel is something that is often an initiation point for people, a death, right? A huge transition, right? It could be a move. It could be graduating from an incredible field of work and then seeing, do I even have a place to follow my passions and to share from a place of authenticity? Is there room for this type of work? And finding how often our initiations from the mother, they really do come through the feminine line in our family.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
mother, grandmother, great grandmother.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was such an intelligent series of things that you said and put together. And yes, so really my initiation to the goddess was, first of all, I was in a family that had strong women. It was a matriarchal in feeling, coming from southern Italy and Sicily. And then that passing of my mother from her body when I was 10 years old was a big, huge shock, initiation. It had tidal waves, into the rest of my life, and really on some level governed the whole path of my life, because it puts you in touch, as you're alluding, with the death mysteries. What's the death mysteries? Well, the mysteries of death are what's on the other side of the veil. That's a whole, that's not just the ancestors, that's the goddesses and gods, the interdimensional experiences, the star ancestors, and everything. So, unbeknownst to me at the time, that was an opening, and I just had to follow the road of pain, which led me to all the explorations and then the healing that I've needed to do over the years, to come to the place where I am as somebody who is hopefully offering others something of value for their own healing and their own expansion of their consciousness and their own opening of their heart.
Yes. That I feel is very felt in the book, because I feel like, you know, I've been in these circles, spaces. I've been very blessed to live in a lot of sacred sites on the planet, whether by choice or by the soul's calling of, like, you just have to drop everything and go and figure it out once you're there. I've ended up in places like Glastonbury, really sacred places in Ireland, the Dingle Peninsula, facing the Skellig Islands, very close to the Michael Line, these sacred dragon places as well, these places that are so ancient that they connect us to something very, very primordial in us, which takes us then to this, primordial mother energy, and then this cosmic mother energy. And I feel like this book really links how we need both. We
Yeah,
need the very grounded, earthly, follow your passions in life. Don't let the pain take over. Don't let, failure or little kind of when we spiral, I like to call it the labyrinth, when we spiral in our life and we don't really know if we're exiting the labyrinth or if we're getting closer to the hero's,
that's
journey,
right.
or where he gets the sword, if it's Excalibur, whatever it may be, if it's the goddess, like, do we, meet ourselves in our highest light, or then do we have to go into the underworld again? But what I'm trying to say is there is something about this book that I feel is very, very timely.
Mhm.
Mother Mary coming in so strongly in my life in Europe, not in
Mhm.
the US. Never in a place where I was never in a place in the United States or Mexico, where my family is from, where I felt like I could reach out to Mother Mary and truly go on a journey with her. So she came to me through the waters
Wow.
on my travels when I basically rejected where I was most closely from, being like my birthplace, my birth country, my birth continent, the North American continent.
Mhm.
And it took me to Ireland. It took me to the waters where she was just saying, just cry with me, just be with me, just let the feminine express in the ways that she wants to express through you, because you're not like everybody else. You're an ultra empath. You're multicultural to the max, because I may have a very close lineage to Mexico, but I've done my ancestry and I'm all over Europe. I'm all over North Africa. And this blend, this weaving that you speak of so beautifully in the book about how Mother Mary weaves,
Yeah.
how she's, please expand upon the weaving
Yeah.
aspect of Mary. I think that's so special, and I want people to
Yeah.
understand that a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, Ariana, part of what you're describing when you're being at those places and suddenly feeling this connection with her, and it is through the waters, is because she is part of this timeless lineage of sacred feminine, divine Sophia, dragon, fairy energy. Talk about weaving a bunch of things together. She is the embodiment, she is the tapestry, she is the woven fabric. And so that's why at these sacred places like Lourdes and um, Fatima and so forth, she appears, but it's really the Catholic Church that called her Mother Mary when the original children or whoever they were saw her as like the white lady because she was that white, radiant being that was part of all these realms and races. And so she is all that, and we are that. And when I teach in my Mary and Magdalene priestess training, I'm teaching everyone we are that. They are just mirrors to our soul, trying to help us awaken to our Sophia light within, or our Sophia Christos light within, because we are all like uniting the yin and the yang. So she weaves in the cosmos too, because she was working with the star realms, the Pleiades, it feels to me like, and the whole star network of Newt, the whole firmament,
The
which
Milky
she
Way
became
and beyond.
the Milky Way and beyond, which was Hera's milk, which was so, and Mother Mary experienced her final ascension to full goddesshood, to merge with the firmament of Newt, the womb of the great goddess. So she is that great mother, and she can be seen and approached and talked to as her personality of Mother Mary, right? So these are some of the many ways that she is a weaver. And it was said that she literally was a weaver in the sacred temple, which is both a literal and metaphorical description of what she does. So yes, she was involved in weaving the sacred veil that went over the Holy of Holies, but um, and we are told she was weaving at the time of her conception of Jesus. But what in that case was she really weaving?
Mhm.
She was weaving light. She was weaving sound. She was weaving plasma. All the scientists are talking now about plasma being the essence of the universe and our bodies and our light bodies. And she was working at like the highest quantum levels. And the activity, the yogas that she were using are called weaving. That's about as close as, we've been able to get to it in 3D. But she was just pulling in so many things through her unbelievable high level of expertise through, according to Sri Kaleshwar, the Hindu saint, the many lives she had lived and the wisdom she had gathered therefrom, so that she could come in. And she was divinely born of her mother, which is a whole other topic as well. And then she was able to give birth to the divine avatar, the pure one who would be able to help humanity on a whole new level when he wasn't being used as an image by, negative religions to kill people. You know what I mean? So it's like there's all this good, bad, and ugly that comes in around the holiness that's brought to the planet.
In terms of the temple, I'd like you to paint a little picture for people because this is something that isn't often talked about, how holy women that are, again, taken, a part of them is taken and kind of frozen in time as a biblical character. And then they
Yes.
lose all of this, colorful, all the different aspects of who they truly were because we have just these books or these texts or these paintings where they're, in a static pose and it's like, this is who that person is. But what I feel is happening now is like the cellular remembrance through our own sacral chakras, through our own waters, through our DNA, our white and our red blood cells, the white and the red coming in through Avalon, through the red and the white spring, like all of this memory is coming back into some of us humans that are like, I can't keep this to myself, I have to share it.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to paint a picture of Mother Mary as a priestess in a temple. Around what age? Where was it? Little
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. And I think it's important to address what you're bringing up here, the images that have been spun of these sacred people. Basically, this is a PR job. This is a marketing packaging
Mm.
of these beings to suit certain agendas. And so we have these really docile images. We have these static, bodiless, practically images of Mother Mary, certainly. And then we know what happened with Mary Magdalene. It was like the opposite end of the spectrum. And so what I'm doing with The Secret Life of Mother Mary, this book, is to take all that off of her, take all of that visual programming off of her, and just to say, well, who is she really, this living, breathing woman who made her full ascension through these immense spiritual studies throughout many lives that involve the heart, the womb knowledge. So in restoring this image of Mary, we are restoring ourselves, and we are restoring what's possible for us. And that's, I think, what you were feeling in the book. And that's really the point of it. And to look at Mother Mary in the temple, what I describe in short form in that book, but really a lot more in the previous book, The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, where I really go through her suppressed gospel,
Mm.
which has come down to us as the infancy gospel of James, but really was called Birth of Mary originally. That gives us Mary's whole, from her divine conception from her mother Anne, all the way through to her birthing of Jesus, and that kind, just after the birth. And what do we find out? She was raised by her mother in her mother's sacred bedroom temple, first of all. Sacred chamber enclosure, given special foods. Her physical feet never touched the ground. which is a common thing when when you're taking a child and really helping them come into their divine destiny. And then she was tended to by these virgins from the temple. And it's like, this is where the veil is also coming off. We think there's just like one Judaism. No, at this time when they were alive, there were a multiplicity of religions that could barely be even conceived of as Judaism, but kind of were or are the precursors. The Essene tribes, there were all these different groupings, the Nazarenes.
The
It was
zealots.
the Zealots, okay, on one, all different Maccabees and all that.
Hmm.
But Jesus was like from this Nazarene group. And so the Marys were from this Nazarene group, and it wasn't really just referring to the place, but an order. So it's not really even clear where or what this temple was that the virgins were coming from, and that then when Mary was 3, her parents gave her over to the temple because they're like, these virgins in this environment has to raise her. So we don't really know. These are things we need to pull from the Akasha, because what will happen is traditional religious scholars and practitioners will say, well, there's no such thing as virgins in a temple, da 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 da. And that just disappears the whole thing. And it just says, oh, this is a bunch of, Catholic made up stuff. But really, when you look at the research, like, for example, in Victoria Lapage's book, Mysteries of the Bride Chamber, she teases out all of this stuff and all these different groupings. And she's not the only one, but that was a major book for me that William Henry recommended to me, who's another one who's got his eyes on all this material. So what is this temple? We really have to go into some medicine ceremonies or meditations to determine, because all we hear in this gospel of Mother Mary is that she was tended to and she was fed like a dove from the hand of an angel. Fed like a dove is a reference, it's a Pleiadian reference. The doves were known as Pleiades, and the Pleiades were known as 7 doves, 7 sisters, 7 dove sisters, who seeded large portions of humanity, according to every culture around the world, practically. So this is telling us Mary was a dove. She was in this Pleiadian lineage, so to speak, and that she was eating from the hand of an angel. So she was possibly having some kind of sacred medicine that she was training herself up into. And we know that she was working with dance, because she was able to dance. She was working with sound vibration, because a later reference is that, well, you sang with the angels, So these are just the little shards and tidbits. But, you're probably going to be going much more into these meditations and maybe taking women into it. What was Mother Mary's temple? What was the temple that she went into? Who did it belong to? Where was it located? Was it structured? How big was it? Who were these virgins really? Were they part of these lineages of virgin priestesses that were divine birth priestesses? That's what I, talk about here. Mother Mary and her mother weren't the only ones. Elizabeth, the mother of John the Baptist, same thing. Sarah, the biblical Sarah, mother of Isaac, same thing. This is talking about women peppered throughout these traditions who knew how to work their womb quantumly with yogas and bring forth these specialized beings to help humanity. So that's a little bit about the temple.
Beautiful. I'm just getting really excited because actually Jerusalem is a really special place to me. It's not the easiest of places to physically be in. And I experienced some of the most intense physical things happen to me in terms of pain, in terms of purging, after spending almost a month in Jerusalem in 2019. And this was after like a month-long pilgrimage around Egypt. So I already was truly connecting with the energies of ancient wisdom, wisdom in the stones, wisdom in the stars. I mean, we were holding ceremonies in some of these
Yeah.
most ancient sacred places in Egypt, peppered throughout such a beautiful country that still holds like just amazing codes for people to connect with, for people to seek.
Yeah.
And then really it takes you to, yes, we can connect to the gods, the goddesses. It's beautiful. I mean, Isis and Mother Mary, you also make, that connection. Many cultures have already, made that connection, that it is such a strong thread to feel them both simultaneously, like as if they're one being, like as if, there's just something to it, that one takes you to another and then hands you off to another. Like, so for me, maybe Isis has handed me to Mary, Mother Mary. Mother Mary's handed me to Magdalene. Sekhmet's handed me to Kali. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful how they all work together.
They
But
really do.
Jerusalem specifically, because you said something about you're going to take women, or you should take women, or we could take women one day, like I'm still envisioning that possibility that it can be in the Holy Land. Obviously, we know there's so many things right now at play. The world
Yeah.
is shifting so dramatically. It
Yes.
needs to. More purge, means eventually we'll be able to exhale. Right now, it's a lot of the inhale, like the world is shifting, and soon we'll be able to have that relief exhale of what do we want to build now? What do we want to remember now collectively? And how do we choose to go forward as all of these ancient religions, I'm going to say it, they're starting to crumble.
Yeah.
People are not turning to them in the same ways anymore because the sovereignty is not there. It's not in the buildings where they're telling you every week how to live, what to do, what not to do. And then again, in a very static, and I grew up Catholic like
Yeah.
I grew up every Sunday in a building where the only thing that felt true to me was when we would sing songs. That was
Yes.
it. The rest of it I could have skipped.
Yes. Yes. There's so much to what you said. First of all, as I mentioned in The Secret Life of Mother Mary, Rudolf Steiner, the great seer from Germany, said that um, Isis was Mother Mary's lifetime just prior to being Mother Mary. So she's part of that lineage. So Mother Mary is the perfection of Isis, is what I received in a ceremony.
Mm.
The final perfection of this soul woman who had come through many lifetimes, according to Sri Kaleshwar, got many codes, practiced many things in the Isis lifetime. She was practicing the resurrection mysteries, bringing Osiris back together, which she perfected as Mother Mary to bring Jesus back together. So that's the missing link there that Sri Kaleshwar provides us with. It's her womb power that not only birthed Jesus, but rebirthed him.
Mhm.
And whether it's onto the astral plane after his crucifixion, or whether it's literally back into his body to go live in India, I'll leave that up to, people. But she was learning the divine birth mystery, conception processes as Isis with Horus and Osiris. And then finally, she perfected it into parthenogenesis, self-conception in her Mother Mary lifetime. So that's in a way why and how you're feeling handed off from one to the other, because they're part of the same living female stream that we all are part of. And all these Egyptian goddesses and Greek goddesses and, are related. So, and there was another piece that I'm not recalling because now I went down that road, but there was something else you were saying that, well, maybe it will come up again, but
Yeah.
we'll just leave.
I'd like to stay a little bit with the star energy, because
Yeah.
we're talking about Israel, we're talking about
Yes,
Jerusalem.
that was it. Jerusalem.
I want to bring something up to you about Alcyone specifically,
Yeah.
because Alcyone has come in as like one of the strongest planetary beings, planetary consciousness that I'm working with. It's one of the seven sisters.
Yeah. The central star of the Seven Sisters.
And it's come to me as a sound code that is literally connected to Zion. You know, Zion,
Wow.
Sion.
Right.
In Jerusalem, there's literally a Mount Sion with an S, Sion.
Oh.
This would have been a sacred place of the Templars.
Mhm.
Alcyon, very, very much as a sound code, is a
Right.
pathway to connect to the Holy Land again and kind of bypass all of the distortion that has been layered over such an incredibly holy grid point on the earth. It's the throat chakra of our planet,
Wow.
combined with two other places, one being Mount Sinai and the
Wow.
other one being the Giza Plateau, the pyramids of Giza in
Wow.
Egypt.
Jeez. Wow, that's very intense. Yeah, Alcyone, and in the Greek tradition, it would be Alcuone. However, your pronunciation is as valid as anything because there are codes that come into whatever version of the name you're using, right? And she is considered the central son of the Pleiades, and even the ancient Greeks considered that the world might, the universe might have rotated around Alcyone or Alcuone. So she was, what I've received, if we want to go into this about the Pleiades, is that each of the seven sisters of the Pleiades, they were star seed mothers of humanity at some point in our development. And there might have been multiple insertions into humanity from the Pleiades and so forth. But this was a big one, the advent of the Seven Sisters. They went into all the cultures around the world. That's why nearly every major culture has a Pleiadian origin story or the story of the Seven Sisters coming down and teaching about womb mysteries and so forth. In the Greek tradition, we have it explained clearly that, and what I have received is that each one of those seven sisters, Alcuone, Maya, Electra, Taugete, um, Sterope, Merope, and Kelaino, that they each were like an ambassador or a representative from a world of the Pleiades.
Mhm.
So that there are many Pleiadian worlds, but these seven women were the ones who decided to come in on this reconnaissance mission and give birth to Pleiadian issue onto the planet. And unfortunately, they were raped by the Anunnaki reptilians named Zeus, Poseidon, and Ares in that process. Several of them were raped, so that they ended up giving forth children who were Pleiadian, Anunnaki, reptilian hybrids. Okay. Yeah. And that's in the Greek stories. And I've been able to, my eyes have been opened over the years to what this has meant. And then recently I did this very large oracle for my priestess training where I did this very interesting thing. I went into medicine space with Lady Cannabis with my slides and my notes. And I said, look, everyone, here's what I'm doing. And it was like two
Mm.
dimensions popped into three and three popped into five as I was given to understand all these things on these many levels. And so it may be that even the so-called seeding of these seven sisters. Oh, and then, what I received in a different oracle ceremony is that Mother Mary is the eighth Pleiadian sister.
Mm.
So that they all brought forth a major figure onto the planet in multiple cultures. So they're fractalized all over the world.
Mm.
And then for us in Western, European, whatever, Middle Eastern history, Mother Mary is the eighth who brought forth another high avatar, a very, very high avatar. Again, part of the Sophia Christos mission, part of the Pleiadian mission, and so forth. And it may well be that these seven sisters, so called, these seven named, which represent worlds, may also represent larger colonizations than just the single woman.
Mhm.
So these are mysteries upon, to come to the earth and
Mhm.
spread forth. And these are the mysteries upon mysteries that are happening right now. And one of the other stunning things that I've received in medicine state is that we are at a critical point now on the earth where all of the Pleiadian seed and all of the Jesus Magdalene seed, because they had children, has come full circle, literally full circle on the planet. Boom. So that now there was a final birth of a child that represented that everyone has Christos, Magdalene, and Pleiadian DNA in them.
Wow.
And that was like the new avatar that no one knows who it is. No one will ever find out who is that child, that final child.
Mm.
That is so hidden. And even the reptilians and all of those who were trying to get this, stop this whole thing from happening, they can't trace it. They don't know. It just, we know that it's happened now. That's what I've received.
Mm.
People can take it and run with it. Like, is that a medicine that helps you? To me, it does. I'm like, yeah, we're all
Mm.
united. We're
Mm.
all united now. And so the final thing has happened over these thousands of years. So that now this great awakening and opening of our consciousness can happen because that DNA can be plucked
Mm.
like a harp, like a lyre, which was what the Pleiadians, the seven sisters were Hermes named the lyre, put seven strings after the Pleiades. So this is, and that this lyre represents that the Pleiades even come from Lyra. So like these are histories that we're starting to realize, oh my gosh, this kind of doesn't really have anything to do with these histories we've been told, and not really the religious histories unless we burrow around or find the real esoteric information.
And even that, which is what you've done in the book, is like you've given us seeds that
Yeah.
then, there's this theme of seeds that you've been speaking of. And I just have to share that today is the day of the seed and the star Venus in the Maya calendar because I work with the Maya
Really?
calendar. And that's actually my
Woo.
birth signature, the seed, the star, Venus. So the seeding, it became the corn, like the symbol of corn in the Maya lands. That's why it was so important. It was an energy of abundance. It was an energy of everybody wins.
That's
All of a
right.
sudden, we're not arguing over who's related to the holy bloodlines and which
Right.
war can we fight so that we can, have proof or have the relic or have, plant our flag or whatever it may be. But I love what you brought through because a couple of episodes back, I recorded an episode where Mary Magdalene was very much channeling through me
Wow.
and the lands of France, which are part of my recent ancestry, but obviously it's something I want to dive deeper into because nobody in my family is connected to France at all. I'm the only one that's been there with my sister when we were like 18, 19, 20, and she's just coming in the blood again, like and awakening this knowing. And she literally said, I am all bloodlines. As I was
See?
channeling that and
Oh
recorded
my
it,
God. So it's
she
true.
said, I am
In
all
all the bloodlines
bloodlines.
now. Okay. It's
And
happened.
yeah, it was really powerful. It was really profound. It was like this reconciliation, this victory to claim for humanity.
I love that. I'm so happy to have that validation. Thank you. That's so it's like, okay, now what do we do with that? Like let's, wow. Yeah. That's right. We're all part of the royal bloodline now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have encodement packets in our so-called DNA because of that. And again, literally, they can be, the doors can be opened of them so that we can use them for our own personal healing and our planetary collective healing, the unification, and the peacemaking now, which is also the dove. The dove symbol, the Pleiades symbol, is the symbol of Jesus. It's the symbol of spirit. It's the symbol of peace. And so that's what we're coming upon now. That's what we're really awakening to in a very real way, not just reading it Sunday or somewhere over here and being like, oh, well, whatever. This is like now a lived thing because the fomenting of strife is getting so intense.
Mhm.
It's just so crazy, um, what it is and what it could lead to even now that we must do this. And here's the thing, it's not just like watching TV and seeing all those people fighting over there. It's about, how did I fight with today? Starting with myself, my children, my partners. How do I how do I heal from all the strife that's going on between me and people I love, and sometimes people that are close, by, that I maybe don't feel connected with, but in our vicinity. So it's this interpersonal healing that's needing to go along with that. Is actually the basis. That is the seed growing of this tree of peace
Mhm.
that is going to automatically dissolve all of that stuff that's seeming to go on in the outside world in these key power spots.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up because it's the
Yeah.
waters once again. It's the sacral. This is the relational chakra that has, I guess it's needed to, we've been redirected once again. Who are we directly connected to through our waters? And it doesn't just mean in our lineages, in our bloodlines, but yes, our family, the closest people that we came into this incarnation relating to, but
Yeah.
also all relationships, also all partnerships. The
Yes.
coursing of our waters has been very muddy over the years, has been very muddy over the centuries and the decades. And it's something to also give ourselves grace about because these are
Yeah.
things that they're in us from way before we even incarnated. The wars,
Yeah.
right? The people that came to other lands and, mated, had intercourse with or without permission and created these, I feel like such a hybrid even from that because of all of the peoples that took over other peoples by force and then created new, we call them criollos and mestizos like in the Americas, but there aren't even names for how that happened in Europe because it happened all over Europe, all over what is now England and Great Britain and the United Kingdom and Ireland and Scotland. And I
Yeah.
feel like Mary Magdalene was also pointing to there is a reconciliation in your own blood lineages. So just realize that victory, move from that place. Move
Yeah.
from the place where my waters are reconciled, they're balanced. I can choose love now.
Wow. That's very powerful. Yes, the reconciliation of all the different genetic lines within us, including off-planet reptilian and whatever these other genetic lineages were and are. It's all in here. Like
Mhm.
we are as reptilian as we are Pleiadian and whatever else. So it's the reconciliation of terrestrial and non-terrestrial communication, interference, hijacking, rape, and
Mhm.
so forth.
Mhm.
But this seed of the Magdalene and Jesus and of the seven sisters of the Pleiades has now been able to go all around the planet, and that is helping us. That is a grid that's helping us now to be able to awaken our consciousness more easily. Like a lot of people are like, wow, how come I can know that all of a sudden? Um, I'm just noticing people right and left who are suddenly being very psychic and that kind of thing. So it's part of the final piece that when that grid has been established, that really helps us. And there are these other things going on and the gyrations of the stars and things like that and other grid work that's happening, um, that's allowing us to be able to raise our consciousness, our opening of our psychic knowing so that we can receive information from the Akashic records once more. And literally, the waters, of course, we know they have been polluted with, unfortunately, malevolent intention. And so now the the clearing, the healing is part of the healing of the waters. And this is where, believe it or not, the unicorns come in. And I wrote in the last chapter of The Secret Life of Mother Mary why Mother Mary has been connected from medieval times in Europe with the unicorn, as evidenced in the tapestries that we see, the stained glass, the illuminated manuscripts. Why is Mother Mary sitting with a unicorn? Why is a maiden sitting with a unicorn? There's a whole discussion that I go into in that chapter about the Fey realm, the She realm, and the unicorn realm, about what this is. And so this awakening to dragon consciousness is happening. Next up is the awakening to unicorn consciousness.
This
Okay.
candle's the closest thing that I connect to the unicorns right now, but they have been
That's
extremely present, extremely
okay.
present.
Doesn't surprise me, Ariana, because again, as we open our psychic sight, we're like, oh, and all of this stuff has remained in child's play, child stories, fairy tales, mythology, and of course, disparaged. Um, but unicorns and rainbows are really what it's all about. Because here's the thing about the water. The unicorn was known that it could dip its horn, its single horn, into water and clear the whole body of water, heal it, cleanse it. So, well, they don't want those beings around. So let's get them back into fifth dimension. We can't have them walking on the earth anymore, clearing waters, because that the polluting of the waters is part of the plan of these beings that are, have a different idea of what should be happening here. So as we awaken to unicorns, we are literally awakening to the how we can cleanse our waters, because they are going to teach us in a different way.
I found the tapestry chapter about these incredible tapestries that you encountered in, was it New York?
Yeah.
But then there's like another set in Europe.
Yeah. And the Cluny Museum in France, of course.
Of course in France, but it's like it's amazing to me because a couple of days ago I was looking through old photos and I was in France and then Germany and then Italy, literally in that order, Italy and then Morocco and then back to Spain in the summer of 2016. And in Germany, I was taken to this church where there were unicorns everywhere in the church, in the stones, in this amazing painted wooden ceiling. And, it's like I haven't looked at these, they're from 2016. I haven't looked at these photos in a long time, but I pulled them up recently and was just like feeling all this unicorn energy from these images. And I was there, standing underneath this incredible roof painted with this energy. So I can only imagine that if we just lean into it that much more, especially those of us that have already accepted, like, this is my this is my reality. Unicorns are a part of the healing that's happening on the planet. They're a part of the remembrance. They're a part of the water work. They're a part of the grid work. They're a part of the third eye. Literally, the horn grows out of the third
That
eye.
is,
It's
it
incredible
is
being.
literally the unification of duality into a single horn that is fed by the third eye seeing. That's the symbol of the unicorn. And they are beings of immense grace. Their main attribute is grace. And they are light beings like the Pegasus winged horse with light radiating out of it. That's how I've been shown them in my medicine ceremonies. So I encourage you and everyone to start asking to meet them in your meditations, in your dreams, and in your medicine ceremonies, and asking them to teach you about them and what we can do with them now.
Beautiful. You know, the children, even today, they haven't lost that connection because
No.
they talk about unicorns, they talk about fairy beings, they talk about, these incredible things in the ocean and the waters and the
Yeah.
spirits and the ancestors. They're talking to dead ancestors all the time. So it's just a matter of invoking that innocence that we were once so tapped into as children.
Right. If you want to know
Bringing bringing
what's
that to
up,
our adult ceremonies when we commune with cacao
exactly.
and mushrooms and
That's
the
right.
land and the waters and our
Because
choice
they're,
medicines.
yeah, because they're there right now. They're not so much on the third dimensional plane. Although, that can change, but they had to kind of retreat out of this plane. But if you want to know where things are at for the new Earth, go look at all the children's favorite stuffed animals.
Yes.
It's all right there. All right. Just pick and choose and get busy. Yeah.
The
And
ra-
now I don't know if this is real, but I started seeing these reels about that. Is this true? Supposedly, some scientific excursion has been able to take lights down into the deepest part of the ocean, and they are finding these creatures down there. Have you seen these reels?
I've been seeing a lot of things about what's going to be unearthed from the oceans. I
Okay.
even recently saw a couple of articles about this creature that's been found in California, like dead on the
Mhm.
shoreline, and it's looks like a snake basically, but it's a creature from very, very deep in the ocean that should
Yeah.
never even have made it
Should
to the
never have come
surface.
up.
And they said it's a bad omen and it's bad luck that these creatures
Of course, they're saying that.
traditionally, like ancient probably wisdom keepers would have said that was a bad omen that they were showing up at our level. But I think it's part of the reveal. I think even
That's
the
right.
ocean is going to reveal things to us.
I
I
know.
think at every level, wherever we have gotten stagnant and thought this is it,
Yeah,
it's like, no, 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 we're just getting started. We're
that's
just
right.
getting started with the revelations. If it's necessary, we're going to be seeing a lot of incredible things that will crack other humans in ways that maybe a cacao, you know, medicine journey wouldn't. They have to see
Yeah,
other strange phenomena to
yeah.
start to, get into this place of opening or
That's right.
accepting change.
That's right. Because some of those creatures, if these reels are real, um, plain as day, a dragon. It
Hmm.
was this being, I don't know how big it was, complete dragon. It had the winged claw head. I mean, it was like, hey, somebody draw me a dragon. That's what it would look like. They have gray alien looking things. They have these bizarre serpentine kinds of things. There's even humanoid creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are we looking at? I don't know if this is AI or if it's, but point being, even if it's like AI, someone's putting it out there that there's more to this than meets the eye, right? And that's the point here. The magic of it all. Maybe there's a whole inner earth realm, that some people initiated at certain levels talk about that. Inner earth. What are the beings there? And then, this star commerce back and forth, and who's actually walking around us who is a star being. And I don't mean just a hybrid like we all are, but a serious alien. You know what I mean? That I just started opening to that consciousness in the last 2 weeks. Like, wait a minute, why am I getting the message that take a look around because you're going to start seeing people that, which I kind of already have, and you probably have, and many have, but this message seems to be coming in now. A number of people have been saying the same thing to me. I'm like, what's going on? We're all getting these same messages now at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a dragon year.
The dragon year, it's so
The
intense.
previous dragon year was 2012. You said that's when all of
Oh,
this, started coming together about how to have your own school, right? And how
yeah. I
to
had my own
break
school.
off.
So many people, Sasha Stone started something with his thing over there. And I'm like, wow, it was that Mayan calendar situation, like time's gonna end. And it's like what I channeled that the winter before was like, well, time as you know it is gonna end, you know?
Hmm.
So and that's what's been happening.
And
The
now,
poles have shifted.
and now I feel like what the waters and what the dragons and what the medicine, the plants are allies on this planet, which by the way, just from my communion with cacao, she's from Venus. Cacao
Oh, totally
is
get
from
that.
Venus. It's a medicine
Totally get
to
that.
awaken us to what is possible for Earth, actually,
That's
because
right.
certain frequencies from Venus have been hitting our planet stronger than ever,
Yeah,
and people are just feeling these urges to abandon the lives that they've lived before, not because there's anything wrong with how they've been living, but it's no longer in alignment. If
that's
we're
right.
keeping up, if we're on the shift with the planet, there's
Yeah,
certain things that just I must leave that behind.
yeah,
Something new is arriving. I want to
yeah,
be ready for it. I want to be a part of it. That's what cacao has showed me. That's what the dragons have showed me. And I'm still barely, I feel like I'm at the beginning of this journey with them because I was praying for dragons in 2020. In Mount Shasta, I was like, all I want are the dragons to come to me.
that's
And a
right.
couple months later, I'm living in Glastonbury and the dragons started coming through the cacao cup. They were just like,
Wow.
we're here. What do you want to know? What do you want to
Hey,
do?
you rang.
You
Yeah.
asked for us. We're
Yeah.
here.
That is amazing. And that makes so much sense to me that cacao would have been brought from Venus. There's a whole history of cacao and its connection with the love goddess also that I need to revisit that I learned from my teacher Angela de la Agua about the cacao, who she learned from Paula Ish and Gustavo Eek in Mexico. And it's so clear. And talk about seeds. When you were talking about seeds earlier, the
Cacao.
seeds of the cacao, that's all it is seeds. You know what I mean? It's like this much fruit, this much seed. It's
Mhm.
hilarious. Like the metaphor couldn't be more apt, right? And so it is a heart medicine. It's a heart opener. It's just and the heart and the consciousness and the womb consciousness all open at the same time with that medicine. And it's very it's non-invasive. You know, you're not going to go through a nightmare with cacao. Like leave that to other medicines that are going to initiate you into other ways. But cacao, you're like, this is the next step for people.
I will say she's an opener, but I caution people that you won't necessarily get nightmares, but she will make things transform in your life because she's going to hold you to the standard of
Yeah.
some of these highest beings that we know, these avatars, these Venusian energy, talking about walking around aliens on our planet. Spend some time in Mount Shasta like I did in 2020, and everybody's talking about the Venusians just
Wow.
being very vocal about, oh, I'm a Venusian. Oh, I went on a sound journey on, there was a really beautiful star alignment, and I believe it was on the solstice of 2020. So December
Mm.
21st, 2020, on top of Mount Shasta in the snow. And the guy calls himself straight up Venusian. Like his
Yeah.
name is Paul the Venusian. And he brings in
Wow.
this energy that just being in that field with a group of people that want to be with this Venusian guide and just anchor love and
Yes.
listen to sound healing and meditate for peace. I know we were meditating in this very pure, like blanket of snow. It had just snowed like the day before, the night before. So there is still this element of we need community. We need to
Yeah.
come together. We need to amplify everything that we're doing on the inside at some point. If we're doing these solo journeys, if we're doing these solo deep dives, at some point, hopefully, you will gain the strength, the courage, the soul power, the womb power to then be brave enough to do it with others. Not
Yes.
everybody needs to guide others, but commune with others because the more of us doing this, the more the grid is lighting up.
Yes. Absolutely. Very well put. And cacao is one of the nicest ones to journey together with. I've led physical groups and so forth. Um, some of the other plant medicines are, hmm, you know, more tough taskmasters and so forth. But there's a lot going on right now to support us from the plant world, to support us in this awakening. So it really is amazing.
I want to close on a bit of a just a hunch that I always prepare for these calls and I see if any essential oils call to me and I offer these frequencies through my hands like as so people can really feel something tangible in themselves as they're kind of, closing out listening to this conversation, this transmission, this podcast. I'm just pretty alien that way. I'm comfortable sending Reiki essential oil
Oh, great.
energy.
I
The
love
one
it. Of course, through the dimensions, the sound waves. Yeah.
the one that called is bergamot and it is an oil from Italy.
Oh, blessed be.
So
Wonderful.
bergamot has come in many, many times over, I'd say like a 4-year period that I've been working with this plant spirit. And she really came in to accompany the inner child recipe that I made with cacao. So it was like a
Wow.
specific recipe that came in, and then I was guided to use bergamot oil to kind of like amplify that energy, like anoint myself with bergamot. So I love the Italian connection,
Yes. Me
and I'm just
too.
gonna
Oh my.
rub a little oil on my hands and just send everybody that's been tuning in this essence that really is reminding us to come back to innocence, honor the inner child, honor all the children of the planet, all the wounded children, all the children that were never born, all the star children, the dragon children, and the hybrid children that will be born into a world that is ready to receive them. A world more harmonious because we have brought harmony to our own wombs, our own waters, our own hearts. And Mother Mary is the womb master, the womb mother, a great, great guide for this planet. If you choose to connect with her deeper, please do connect with Marguerite's work and her book. I was truly moved. I feel like this is just the beginning for many of us who want to work in co-creation with these avatars, these ascended beings, these star beings. They're communing with us for a reason right now because they know that there is a wave that we are riding that will shift things even materially, physically on this plane so that we can see, the places that we see in our meditations, the places that we see in our medicine journeys that make us weep with joy of remembrance. Like, I want that here, I'm calling that here for us. And it will happen more and more naturally just as you follow your innocence, the whispers of your inner child, your joy, your light, however that wants to show up in the dragon year and beyond. If you have any closing words, prayers.
Yeah. You know, the main closing word is thank you. Um, Thank you for all you're doing, for all you've brought to this conversation, for this invitation, for all that you're going to be carrying forth now, even more strongly. And thank you to all of those people listening who are part of this path of the great personal and planetary healing. And I just feel that while we thank these masters, they thank us as well. And so I feel a lot of mutual thanks coming in today for all of us who are joining on this and who have been courageous to move through our passages of difficulty and to stick with it, to stick with this heart expansion path.
I definitely want to thank also the Pleiades, Alcyone, and Sirius, the constellation, the trinary star system, the consciousness of Sirius, which is one of my strongest, most recent incarnations. I do hail very strongly from Sirius. So I just wanted to show you that the dragon cards that came out were very watery. We have
Oh,
Miracle
oh, that's so beautiful.
and Bliss with the mermaid and like this dragon being coming out of the ocean.
Oh, amazing.
And then very, very much, this is the Mother Gaia dragon, which is
Oh,
literally just says surrender, letting go of the darkness.
that's beautiful. It's amazing. Wow.
So honored. Thank you. Where can the beautiful people find you, find your work? You
Yeah.
have the floor.
All right. Well, clearly, anywhere books are sold, you can find The Secret Life of Mother Mary in either print, audio, or Kindle. And that can be your local bookstore. You can ask them to have it in to support the local bookstores, or you can get it online at the Inner Traditions site, or if you want to go to Amazon, you can find it there. And if you'd like to find out more about me and the work that I'm doing and all of this living experience that I'm encouraging us all to have with Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene and all the Marys and Magdalenes, you can go to sevensistersmysteryschool.com, SEVEN. And there's lots of stuff there. You can sign up for various free gifts and sign up for our newsletter and be kept abreast of what we're doing.
And join in on a ceremony, which sounds very
Yes.
exciting. I'm gonna need to come.
For sure. We have, I don't know when this is coming out, but we have one coming out December 8th on the feast day of Mary, which originally commemorated her divine conception by her mother Anne. That was the original meaning of that feast day. So we're working with miracle energy. And we're also honoring the miracle of La Virgen de Guadalupe, who appeared to help, the peoples who were being colonized to manage and be able to move into the next era with that feminine energy at their side.
Thank you so much for that. Yes, that is very close to my heart because the lands where eventually they built a basilica, a huge church on top of the original mountain,
Mhm.
outside, outdoors, where the vision happened, as it always happens. If it's not in a cave, it happens outside in nature.
Yeah,
And of course,
yeah,
they built things on top of it.
that's
But
right.
I thought that the first time I ever went to the church for Virgen de Guadalupe was when I was 19. And I felt something when I was there. I felt a connection. I just kind of put it on the back burner. It was like, I'm not ready for this, right? Because I was in my, I'm going to stop being Catholic phase.
That's
So
right.
I had to kind of shift,
Yeah.
pivot. And then my mother recently was like, I don't know what we were talking about, but she mentioned, "Oh, you were there when you were a baby. Like we took you to, Mexico City, and we had family there, and then we went to the Basilica, and you were
Yeah.
probably around 2." And I felt that very, very like deep in my soul. Like, of course, this has been a lifelong journey. I rejected it for only for it to come back even stronger, like the waves of the ocean, just saying, you can't outrun us.
Yeah.
We're gonna be a part of you because you're a part of her. All
Yes,
listening are a part of the Mother Mary.
and what you've been connecting with and what I'm doing in this book is the essential Mother Mary, the true, the real mystical underneath all the trappings of dogma and, programming, if we might say, right?
Yes.
Uh,
The purest essence of Mariam.
Mariam.
So we'll just close there. Thank you all for tuning in, sending
Uh,
so much love and gratitude to all of you. And once again to Marguerite. You're a wonderful guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ariana. Really appreciate it.
Mhm. There